the RMS Titanic, a name that resonates through the annals of history. Even the name evokes a sense of awe and tragedy. It was a marvel of modern engineering, a floating palace that promised luxury and safety. This majestic ship, the largest of its time, set sail on its maiden voyage in 1912. It was a journey filled with hope and excitement, as passengers from all walks of life boarded with dreams of a new beginning. It carried with it the dreams and aspirations of over 2,200 souls. From the wealthy elite in first class to the hopeful immigrants in steerage, each person had a story, a reason for being on that ship. The Titanic was more than just a ship. It was a symbol of human ingenuity and ambition. Its construction was a feat of engineering, boasting the finest materials and the latest technology. The interiors were opulent, designed to offer the utmost comfort and luxury. But on a cold April night, tragedy struck. The ship, deemed unsinkable, met its match in the icy waters of the North Atlantic. The unsinkable ship collided with an iceberg, forever changing the course of history. The collision was catastrophic, and within hours the Titanic began to sink. The story of the Titanic continues to fascinate us. It is a tale of human error, of nature's unforgiving power, and of the heroism that emerged in the face of disaster. We are drawn to its tale of luxury and loss, of human error and heroism. The grand staircase, once a symbol of elegance, now lies in ruins at the bottom of the ocean. The rescue operations, though valiant, could not save all. The sinking of the Titanic serves as a stark reminder of the power of nature and the fragility of human life. The lifeboats, meant to be a last resort, became the only hope for survival for many. In this essay, we will dive deep into the lesser-known facts of this maritime tragedy. We will explore the decisions that led to the disaster, the stories of those who survived, and the legacy that the Titanic has left behind. Prepare to uncover the hidden secrets that lie beneath the surface of this enduring tale. From the depths of the ocean to the pages of history, the Titanic's story is one that continues to captivate and intrigue us. One of the most shocking aspects of the Titanic disaster was the lack of sufficient lifeboats. The ship, designed to accommodate over 3,500 passengers and crew, had only enough lifeboats for around 1,178 people. This meant that even if every lifeboat were filled to capacity, over half of the people on board would be left to face their fate in the icy waters of the North Atlantic. The reasons for this critical oversight are complex. At the time, maritime regulations based lifeboat capacity on a ship's gross tonnage, not its passenger capacity. This meant that many ships, including the Titanic, were technically compliant with the law, even though they carried far too few lifeboats for everyone on board. There was also a belief, fueled by the Titanic's advanced design features, that the ship was practically unsinkable. This tragically misplaced confidence contributed to a sense of complacency that ultimately proved fatal. The Titanic was often touted as practically unsinkable before its maiden voyage. This claim, while bold, was not entirely unfounded. The ship was designed with advanced safety features, including watertight compartments and double-bottom hull construction. These innovations were intended to contain flooding and keep the ship afloat, even in the event of a serious accident. However, the belief in the Titanic's invincibility ultimately proved to be a fatal flaw. The Titanic's designers had not anticipated the possibility of an impact that would breach multiple compartments simultaneously. The iceberg's glancing blow along the starboard side of the ship proved to be its Achilles heel. Water flooded into several compartments, overwhelming the ship's pumping systems and sealing its fate. The Titanic's sinking shattered the myth of the unsinkable ship, serving as a harsh lesson in the limits of human engineering. Section 4. Human Error, a Chain of Fatal Mistakes. While the Titanic's design flaws played a role in its demise, it was a series of human errors that ultimately sealed its fate. One critical oversight was the lack of binoculars for the lookouts stationed in the crow's nest. These lookouts, responsible for spotting hazards in the ship's path, were forced to rely solely on their eyesight on a night with limited visibility. Adding to the tragedy, the Titanic received multiple ice warnings from other ships in the area. These warnings, although relayed to the bridge, were not always acted upon promptly or with sufficient caution. Some historians believe that the Titanic's captain, Edward Smith, may have felt pressured to maintain a fast speed to impress passengers and arrive in New York on schedule. This combination of factors, poor visibility, missed warnings, and a possible emphasis on speed over safety, created a perfect storm that led to disaster. Section 5. J. Bruce Ismay, a captain's controversial decision. J. Bruce Ismay, managing director of the White Star Line, was a prominent figure aboard the Titanic. As the ship's highest-ranking company official, his presence was meant to symbolize the grandeur and safety of the vessel. His decision to board a lifeboat and survive the sinking, while many women and children perished, sparked outrage and controversy. The night was chaotic, with panic spreading as the realization of the ship's fate set in. Ismay argued that he boarded the lifeboat at the last moment when it was clear there were no other women or children nearby. He claimed that he was simply following the orders of the officers in charge. However, his actions were widely condemned as cowardly and a betrayal of the maritime tradition of women and children first. The press and public were unforgiving, painting him as a villain who prioritized his own life over the lives of others. Ismay's reputation never fully recovered from the Titanic disaster. Despite his attempts to explain his actions, the stigma of cowardice clung to him, affecting both his personal and professional life. He was haunted by the events of that night and the accusations of cowardice that followed him for the rest of his life. The weight of the tragedy and the public's judgment took a heavy toll on his mental and emotional well-being. The controversies surrounding his actions highlights the ethical dilemmas faced by those in positions of power during times of crisis. It raises questions about duty, responsibility, and the moral complexities of survival. It also underscores the enduring human instinct for survival, even when it comes at the expense of others. The Titanic disaster remains a poignant reminder of the fragile line between heroism and self-preservation and the difficult choices that must be made in moments of life and death. The sinking of the Titanic was not just a maritime disaster, but a human tragedy that exposed the vulnerabilities and strengths of those involved. Ismay's story is just one of many that illustrate the complex human emotions and decisions that come into play during such catastrophic events. As we remember the victims and the survivors, we are reminded of the lessons learned from that fateful night. The legacy of the Titanic continues to be a subject of fascination and reflection, prompting us to consider how we might act in similar circumstances. Today, the story of J. Bruce Ismay and the Titanic serves as a powerful narrative about human nature, leadership, and the enduring impact of our choices. It challenges us to think deeply about our own values and the decisions we might make when faced with our own moments of crisis. Section 6. Luxury and loss, the stark divide on the Titanic. The Titanic was renowned for its opulence and grandeur. It was a floating palace, a marvel of early 20th century engineering and design, symbolizing the height of luxury and technological advancement of its time. The ship boasted luxurious amenities for its first-class passengers, including a swimming pool, gymnasium, and even a squash court. These facilities were designed to cater to the wealthy elite, providing them with every comfort and convenience imaginable during their transatlantic voyage. The piece de resistance was the millionaire's suite, a lavish apartment with its own private promenade deck. This suite was the epitome of luxury, featuring multiple rooms, exquisite furnishings, and a level of service that was unparalleled. This world of extravagance stood in stark contrast to the conditions endured by many third-class passengers. These passengers, often immigrants seeking a new life in America, were housed in cramped, basic quarters with limited amenities. While first-class passengers enjoyed spacious cabins and gourmet meals prepared by top chefs, those travelling in steerage were confined to cramped quarters and basic provisions. The disparity in living conditions was a reflection of the broader social inequalities of the time. The social divide on board was further emphasized by the restricted zone policy, which prevented third-class passengers from accessing certain areas of the ship even during the sinking. This policy was strictly enforced, highlighting the rigid class distinctions that permeated every aspect of life on the Titanic. The Titanic's tragic end exposed the stark realities of class inequality at the turn of the 20th century. As the ship sank, the limited number of lifeboats were quickly filled, with priority given to first-class passengers. Many third-class passengers were left to fend for themselves, trapped below deck with little chance of survival. The disaster served as a grim reminder that even in the face of unimaginable tragedy, privilege and social standing often dictated who lived and who died. The aftermath of the sinking saw a disproportionate number of first-class survivors compared to those in third class, underscoring the harsh realities of the social hierarchy that existed on board the Titanic. Today, the legacy of the Titanic continues to captivate and haunt us. Memorials and historical sites dedicated to the ship and its passengers serve as poignant reminders of the human cost of inequality. The story of the Titanic is not just a tale of a maritime disaster, but a reflection of the societal values and divisions of its time. Museums around the world display artifacts recovered from the wreck, offering a glimpse into the lives of those who were on board. These exhibits tell the stories of both the wealthy and the poor, providing a comprehensive view of the human experience on the Titanic. Educational programs and documentaries continue to explore the many facets of the Titanic story, from its construction and maiden voyage to its tragic end and the subsequent investigations. These efforts ensure that the lessons of the Titanic are not forgotten, and that future generations understand the importance of addressing social inequalities. Modern-day explorations of the wreck site have provided new insights into the ship's final moments and the experiences of those on board. Underwater footage and advanced technology have allowed us to piece together the events of that fateful night, bringing the story of the Titanic to life in unprecedented detail. As we remember the Titanic, we are reminded of the enduring impact of its story on our culture and collective memory. The ship's legacy continues to inspire and challenge us to reflect on the issues of class, privilege, and human resilience in the face of disaster.